Skylanders, a toys-to-life franchise that boomed through nearly the decade of 2010 until its console game hiatus in 2017. A certain purple dragon served as the spiritual foundation for this franchise, Spyro the Dragon. You're probably wondering, what does Spyro have to do with Skylanders? Why is he so important to its history? Allow me to explain. When the Legend of Spyro reboot was still being developed in 2007, the Spyro license was transferred to Activision when they merged with Vivendi Games. Activision explored different concepts for Spyro with game developer Toys for Bob. These concepts included a gritty realistic Spyro, a tiny Spyro that ran around on bookshelves in the real world, and an origami Spyro that can take on many shapes. One of the ideas for the gritty realistic Spyro was a post-apocalyptic exploration toy story where the human race was absent. Spyro, his friends, and other characters were only 6 inches tall, and their enemies would use surrounding objects like forks and knives as weapons. The main mystery for the premise would have had players wondering what happened to the humans. Activision also approached Toys for Bob about developing a Spyro title that was going to be much darker than Spyro has ever been before, likely more than what the Legend of Spyro reboot could show. According to Toys for Bob producer Alex Ness, the game was going to be for an older audience, the age range being 16 years and older. It was going to be a darker take on Spyro for the next generation consoles with blood involved. While some older fans would have liked a Spyro game that was tough and bloody, this idea didn't sit well with Toys for Bob. They lost all enthusiasm with the concept, since they were aware that Spyro wasn't about blood, nor was he made for older audiences. As a result, Toys for Bob lost their passion on the idea, so they abandoned it, and proceeded to spend about 6 months on a variety of different ways to do more with the Spyro character and license. Toys was eventually chosen as an option, and one of those ideas for Toys had users play with little toy dragons that hatched from eggs. From their ideas for Toys sprouted Spyros Kingdom. Spyros Kingdom began as a toys-to-life project with the player using a magical device to bring their toy characters to life in the game. Spyro himself will be the full-grown king of Spyros Kingdom. He will be the quest giver and would even accompany you on your adventures. 5 known playable characters, called minions, were made during the making of Spyro's Kingdom: Rock Dragon, Ghost Eater, Fire Dragon, Cyclops Snail, and Bomb Troll. Fire Dragon was a red dragon who would breathe fire and fly. Cyclops Snail, also known as Tarclops later during development, was a slime character who attacks by shooting electricity and leaving trails of sludge behind that would slow down enemies. Unlike the other characters, Cyclops Snail was able to traverse through water. Rock Dragon was a dragon character who can roll into a ball and knock enemies and obstacles away with his mace-like tail. Bomb Troll was a grumpy old troll who would throw bombs and knock his enemies away with his shockwave attacks. While the characters were developed, power-up items were made to help them in the game. The Lantern toy item would help light dark areas around you, and the Potion of Speed would increase your mobility. A lot of other characters were planned for Spyro's Kingdom, like a Mesmorph wizard. Some of them would eventually be reimagined later in Skylander games made after Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. As development went on, Toys for Bob felt that they couldn't have a game called Spyro's Kingdom if Spyro wasn't a playable character. So they made him one, replacing Fire Dragon. The game will be set as a Nintendo Wii exclusive, with a starter pack for the game including Spyro himself, Bomb Troll, and Tarclops. All 3 are present in the game cover concept art. It was then that Toys for Bob were nearing the end of pre-alpha stage with Spyro's Kingdom during early 2010, and they were ready to show it off to the Activision executives. But then they realized that this game could become something much, much bigger. So at Toys for Bob's request, Activision gave them another 10 months and the budget needed for their reimagined project. They experimented with ideas that involved toys with brains, action figures having memory inside them that can save your character stats, accessories, and nicknames cross-platform. Like, you could take your action figure that has your progress to your friend's house, and you can continue playing as that character with your progress still intact. Like magic! The development team were aiming at what the kids would do and how they would react with their toys saving what they'd done in the game. The idea continued to grow until Spyro's Kingdom became what we know today as Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. Many characters were reimagined during the development of Spyro's Adventure, which will be the first installment of the Skylanders franchise. Cyclops Snail was reimagined as the Water Dragon Zap. Rock Dragon became Bash. Ghost Eater became Ghost Roaster. The Grumpy Bomb Troll became the Explosive Loving Boomer. Even the Mesmorph Wizard was split into his own character named Haldor and a playable Skylander counterpart named Double Trouble. Spyro himself became one of the soon-to-be 32 playable Skylanders, with Toys for Bob honoring his history and reintroducing him to a new target audience. An undead dragon character named Vathic would be replaced by Cinder, a character who originated for the Legend of Spyro reboot. Vathic would then be used as an adventure pack villain for Dragon's Peak. While met with heavy negative reception from older Spyro fans, Skylanders became a booming sensation upon release with the young target audience it was geared towards. It became the #1 kids game of 2011, something that Activision was expecting despite their confidence and support on the AAA game title. With Skylanders coming out yearly, the new target audience learned of the Spyro character and those associated with him. While he wasn't as prominent as he was in the first Skylanders game, Spyro would get a few reposes along with Cinder. They even appeared in several Skylander IDW comics and faced off against their returning enemy, the undead Dragon King Malefor. Even notable guest stars appeared in Skylanders later on as playable characters, like Bowser, Donkey Kong, Crash Bandicoot, and Dr. Neo Cortex. Spyro, Cinder, and Malefor even starred in their first television appearance through Skylanders, Skylanders Academy. It's still amazing how this wonderful franchise originated from a Spyro game concept that grew and became something great. Without Spyro, Skylanders wouldn't exist. While some may argue that Skylanders would do well without him, it was Spyros Kingdom that kickstarted Skylanders, an idea that grew into a popular kids franchise of its time. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. See you next time. Happy 10th anniversary, Skylanders.
Only you can bring the Skylanders to life.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, or subscribe for more Spyro and Skylanders related content. To see the sources and more insight on the development of Spyro's Kingdom and its game prototype, the links are in the description below. Shout out goes to Travis the Dragon for providing his fan art of a darker Spyro for this video.